Hi, it's Kim, and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to talk about how to save dahlia tubers. I have these beautiful Mystic Illusion dahlias this year, and I do want to have them next year. But look at this mess she dig up. What are you supposed to do?
Dahlia planted in this over the summer, and I'm going to get that pulled in here because I'm going to take care of this inside instead of outside because it's raining outside. So what we're going to do, my dahlia, these are the little ends that are left. I'm going to dig in there and find the tubers, and we're going to prep them ready to store. So I will have the Mystic Illusion next year. Okay, I'm digging down into here, and I'm going to try not to poke one of the tubers. So I'm going to do my best just to get underneath where they are. Looks like some of my stems right here. So let me pull under here. I can feel a lot of the fibers of all the root. But let me see if I can get under there and get them out. I may have to take one of my small shovels and get under there. Okay, let me try the shovel. I think that might do better. Okay, here's my shovel. I'm going to use that to dig down in there and try to get it to come up. I don't want to tear up my big pot because I really like this big pot. So I'm just going to try, let me try, besides the shovel, how about my little potato fork? Let's try this. Doesn't feel like it's poking anything down in there. I just need to get that root ball up. Okay, I feel it coming up just a little. I've got these little bags that came, or bins that came from Kroger. They were giving them away. They had grocery cart loads, stacks and stacks of these. So I've used these a lot for garden instruments. I like to pick weeds and everything else. So be sure and check the stores. These were free. Didn't cost me a thing. And they were free to anybody, customer, employee, anybody. Okay, so I can see a little bit of the tuber down in there. So let me try again. Here it comes. Let's try to lift this up. Okay, I got the main portion of it. Let me try to pull a lot of the dirt away. This soil is pretty, it seems moist, not really moist, but dry. Now look at the tubers. We're starting to see the edges of the tubers. And I'll be making a mess in the garage floor, but I'll be able to clean that up. All right, I think I've got the main portion of it. So I'm going to set it up here on the table. Let me double check. No, I don't feel anything more in there. Okay, so he is finished. there's still my little plant tag from the Mystic Illusion, where we purchased it this past spring. Still have that. Okay. Now here, I'm just going to try to work all of the soil away from the edges. Okay, I'm pulling this apart so that I can free up all these tubers that would store food for the next growth period, but the little growing eye is connected to the stem. So what I need to do is find that little growing eye. Okay, this one seems to be coming apart here. Okay, let's see what we have. That looks pretty good. Now, some of the information that I have read talks about putting these outside and using your hose to spray all of the water off of them and get them all ready to store. And then a few of the others say don't spray water on them because you don't want them to be moist. So for me, I think I'd like to go with not spraying them. The indication is to take all these tubers and your little growth spots here, and I'm going to dry these out so we can see our little growth spot better, and put them upside down because these little stems become hollow. I've got mine packed full of dirt right here, but the little stems get hollow and you want to make sure all the dirt is drained out. So myself, I'm going to store them on my shelves upside down. I've got a couple little racks here that I can store them. And then we cut all these root tendrils off for storage, and that should make mine be as well as I can for the first year. I didn't get a chance to save the ones from last year because we were moving, and it was actually my daughter's plant that she had at her house, and she moved in with me before we sold the house. So I'm just going to see what more that I can get from this clump, and we'll get them all divided out. Now we've got some of our tubers cleaned off, and you can see where all the little tubers that have little basically feed sacks for next year. But at the base of our stem right here is the little collar, and this is the part that I understand we need to have a portion of that in order for a new plant to grow. I could take this one and split it right down the middle, and as long as I had a little portion that would help this part grow, then that little collar is what will be my new little growth point. This one is the same thing. As long as I have the little collar portion, I can divide that down and have two sections. So I ended up with, 4 sections here? This one, and these two. And this one had a tuber with a stalk. Now, I'm not sure if that was one of my growing stalks or what that is, but I'm going to try planting it. And there was another tiny one. I don't know where he went, but I had another tiny, here he is, a little tiny one right here, tuber. And I don't know if that was a small slender stalk, if that's a piece of root. It looks more like a piece of root. But I'm going to save that and plant that too, because this is my first time trying to preserve, and so that's what I want to do. So now each of these tubers, since we want to make sure that the stem is drained and has no moisture, I'm going to put it here just put these stalks up in them in my little wrought iron table. That's what I usually use during the winter during the summer. So I'm taking this and just putting it downward so that they face downward so that they dry out and drain. And then we'll just store them in paper. Now I have some shredded paper that I can use. I have dry peat moss that I would ordinarily use for my hypertufa, but that'll work to store these. But I should have a really good collection for next year. So we'll take these stems. Now if the stems are too long, we can trim those off. But look at all those that I've got ready for next year. I think that's going to work just fine.
Well, my plans with this kind of a tuber that's very similar to a potato that I would need to look for eyes, I'll wait and in the springtime watch for the eyes to sprout, and that way I can find them and then split apart the little clumps of tubers. I'll just pack them in the shredded paper in a cardboard box, and that should be perfect for saving.
Okay, what we're going to do is take my dried corms, tubers, whatever we're going to call these. Got them all spread out here. And I'm going to take them, and since it's easier, this being my first year, it's easier to see the little eyes once they have sprouted. I'm going to wait and cut them apart in the spring. So I'm just going to get rid of the long, hairy ends of these. Just kind of clean them up a little bit. Cut all these off. Okay, I've got the hairy roots cut off of the bulbs, the tubers. We don't really need those. Cut off a little bit of extra of the stem. So this is what we're left with. And as I said, since I am unfamiliar, I've not done this before, I'm not going to try to recognize the eyes around the middle here. I'll wait until they sprout in the spring. So here's my box. I've got it labeled Dahlia, and the only variety I have is Mystic Illusion right now. And what we're going to pack these is with some paper shavings. So I've got paper shavings from the office, and we're going to lay them right down in the top. Okay, I've got my box with some of the paper down in there, and what I'm going to do is just put my tubers down in the box. Just kind of arranging them on the paper. And this one, I'm not sure if this one is a tuber. I'm not sure if that's a stem. So I'm going to save it anyway. It might be a stem. There might be something to grow there, but I'll keep it just in case. And so now with my box, I'm just going to take the rest of the paper, the shredded paper, and I'm going to pour it into the box. And that will bury all my tubers down in there. And then I will close this to protect it from any light source, because we don't want any light to be in there. And then I will take it over into the edge of the basement and keep it where it's cool, because out here by my workbench it stays in the high 60s, and I'd like to keep it to about 50 degrees. So that's all we're going to do and hope for dahlias in the spring. So I've got this set over here in the edge of the basement where I think it might be the coolest, and we'll just wait until spring to pull those out. I may open it up and mist them once in a while just to make sure that they don't shrivel too bad. At least that's what I understand from what I've read. But we're going to hope for dahlias in the springtime.